Hello guys, this is a review of the movie The Death and Life of John F. Donovan. This is one of the deepest films I've ever watched in my entire life. I barely watched it last night and I wanted to stay up in the middle of the night and do a review, but there was no light, so I just waited till today. Basically is not the right word for this movie because it isn't basic at all, but basically the plot revolves around a young 11-year-old kid. He's been writing letters to a very famous actor who's played by Kit Harington, and he's been responding to him, and they've been going back and forth for like 5 years, unbeknownst to anyone, including the kid's mother. As the movie plays along, we start to see parallels, we start to see similarities between this kid's life and this famous actor's life, in the sense that they both have broken family relationships. They don't have exactly the same thing going on. For example, the actor is still in the closet. He might be bi, he might be gay, and the kid has nothing to do with that. That's not his problem, but he does have a great disconnection to his mother. I feel like as I was watching the film, I thought some of the issues that are being discussed here are so complex and so deep that I'm pretty sure they're flying right over my head, and I'm gonna have to rewatch it a few more times. I did not read anything at all. I'm sure that before buying it I read some reviews that said it was good, but I don't even remember them, so this is strictly just out of my head, the way that I like to do this. The movie goes on and it comes to a point where the kid is supposed to do an exposition about a real life event, something, but regarding real life themes, and he selects the whole I'm writing to a very famous actor and I want to be an actor myself. He's an inspiration to me. He's been responding to me all these years. The bullies, because he's severely bullied throughout his school days because he moved from the US to England, and I mean not because, but that's, I guess, people target the new kid and he's into acting classes and stuff like that. People don't believe him. Like I said, they bully him. The teacher doesn't even believe him, and the teacher's one of his main supporters. Then he tells him, I actually have the letters in my backpack. And I knew there and then when he was doing his presentation in the front of the class, I was like, you shouldn't have gone there. He tries to go and get them so he could prove to the teacher that what he was saying was right, and they're not there anymore. The kids took them. He then goes to the kid's house, the main bully's house. He breaks the window with a rock, sneaks in, and the mom of the kid sees him and is like, what are you doing? So he ends up in jail, and his mother goes to pick him up, and they have a huge argument where he tells her, he's a very smart kid, very smart. So he starts telling her that she doesn't want him to succeed because she also wanted to be an actress but failed, and she wouldn't give him the time of day because she knows that he could be something that she wasn't, and she has no aspirations. She's a failure. They have like this, like I said, huge discussion. In the meantime, John F. Donovan is struggling with his own family because his mom is addicted to alcohol, and he like fell in love, we could say, with one of his co-stars. Did he end up coming out in the same show? I don't remember, but he's another actor. But the other actor, even though he is a very nice person, he just doesn't want to be in a secret relationship with anyone anymore, since he's already out and proud and living his life. The way the movie begins, I have to, I guess, go back a little bit. The movie begins with him asking his mother, the little kid, if the actor has written to him, and she says no, but he sees that she has green ink in her hands, and he knows that that's the color of ink that he always used. He always wrote by hand, and he did as well when talking to each other. So he goes over to, I think, the counter or something like that, and he sees that in the news they're reporting John of Donovan's death. And then near the end of the film, he's explaining, and all of this is happening, we get to see and hear about his story, because he's giving an interview to a reporter who was very adamant about interviewing him because she felt that he was, like, I guess, a phony. I also didn't hear that very well. I should have put subtitles in the beginning so that I knew what they were talking about, but I took them out because I felt like they were being a bit too distracting, and that's why also I didn't get 100% of the dialogue the way that I should have before reviewing the movie. Anyway, the little kid goes through hoops to get an audition near the end of the film, and his mother speaks to his teacher, who tells her, like, hey, he's not in school, he went to audition, I'm just letting you know. And here's an essay that he wrote about inspirational people, and in his essay he wrote about her, and the mother thinks that he hates her, but he doesn't. He likes her, but he feels like they just drifted apart and they used to be best friends. So she looks for him in London to apologize and finds him. He starts his career. In the meantime, John F. Donovan's career, like, blossoms, as they say in the beginning of the film. When the rest of the world think that his career is going through the rooftops and he's just reaching the stars, for him, his life is just piling down and just coming apart completely. Because something that he mentions later in the film is, I worked on my craft, I worked on my career, I worked on my family, my friends, but I didn't work on myself. So he's missing a lot of himself, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he just feels like he cannot say who he is, and then it's even deeper than that. But anyway, that's what happens, and in the end, like, people think that he killed himself, but at the same time, he died by suicide. The little kid, now an adult, 10 years later, tells a reporter that he likes to think that since he wrote his last letter to him addressing how much he wanted to, to meet up, and he was so hopeful, he wants to hold on to that. And that's the end of the plot. There's a lot of tension between the reporter and the now writer / actor who's grown up. He feels that it's not important the amount of talent that John F. Donovan had, the attention and the glamour and the fakeness of it all. He wants to speak more about how this impacted a child, and regardless of how it comes to be or the things that they do right or wrong, I guess people's actions have an influence in other people's lives. And I'm very confused because I thought, like, oh, well, I guess this is going to be a serious movie, so they're going to focus on the art. But they don't necessarily focus on the art. I think this is more emotional, more psychological than anything. It's more about human nature and less about... They do show, like, the side effects of being famous, and the actor guarantees the little kid in one of his letters, like, I know that you're going to feel loneliness, you're going to feel this void. And I'm paraphrasing as usual. My thoughts about the movie. This movie messed me up so bad. It messed me up so bad. It's kind of like Suicide Room. Even though that had a completely different theme. Some similarities, but gosh, I was just... I don't know if you've experienced this, if you get carsick or seasick. But when the first moments where you feel like the things in your stomach are just kind of moving, like you're not yet nauseous, you're not like, you don't have anything coming up, but you kind of feel it, and then you feel your body kind of prepare itself for what's about to happen. Well, that's how I felt at the end of this film. I didn't like the ending. I guess it's what makes a movie awesome, is it goes its own way, but I would have rather him explain to me with little Play-Doh things like, this is what the movie's about, this is what I learned, because it's left very open to interpretation. And I'm not saying that I'm like the dumbest person, but I'm not the brightest light bulb in the room either. So I'm a slow learner for sure. I need time and I need to watch it over and over and over, but I feel like I just don't want that feeling to go away. I just watched it last night, like I mentioned, and what I took from it was that the industry is a nightmare. People are gonna lie about you. People are gonna pretend that they know you. And you can't stand up for yourself. There's a specific scene where one of his coworkers is just asking him personal questions or things that have nothing to do with it. He's like, I think that I'm coming here to read lines, to deliver my scenes, and then just get out of here. You do not know me. Don't act like you know me. Don't ask me about this. Don't ask me about that. What makes you think we're friends? He's like, we are friends. He's like, no. And that's something that I've mentioned before, like in the Selena review, I think I mentioned it, but people think that because they are celebrities, because they are famous people, and they give interviews and they talk about their lives at times that we know them, or because we see a character, which is even more absurd, but that's not the case. We really do not know about them. I really don't want to get into like this conversation because it doesn't pertain much to the film, but for example, what's going on with Marilyn Manson, I have like a few CDs of his. I've been following his career for a long time. He was a very big inspiration, and now he's under investigation because he's being accused of human trafficking, abuse, blackmailing, just sexual assaults, etc., by various actresses and an actor. You just never know, you know. I can't put my hands on fire for anyone and say he never did this, she would never do that. I can't say that about, and speaking generally. Of course, when you have like a trust for someone, you kind of like stand up for themselves. If somebody was to go into your house and say your mom killed my son, I'll be like, no, my mom would never do that. You have to stand up for it. But then always give the benefit of the doubt, but it's basically what the movies is telling you. He's going through all these things, yet on the outside, to the people, it seems like everything is bright and dandy. When the kid ends up in jail, the news get a hold of this story, and they publish that John has been writing to this kid for years, and he goes on a talk show, John, and denies it, makes up fun of it, basically ridiculing or denying the existence of the relationship with the kid. And the kid just rips the posters up and stuff, and he mentions to the reporter that that's not what hurts him. He understands that. It's just so very complicated. For me, one of the main themes that struck a chord in me was the relationship between the kid and his mother and the actor and his mother. The last scene where we see John alive, that's gut-wrenching. It's terrible. I wanted the mom of the kid, because she passed away, he mentions at the beginning of the interview, I wanted her to die so that I could cry, and she never died. Well, not, on screen. So I kept that. And the last scene where there's a lot of very known characters. For example, John's manager is Kathy Bates from Misery. His mom is Susan Sarandon from Rocky Horror. The kid, I forgot his name. I'm telling you, I didn't Google anything at all. It just came straight forward. The kid has been in Dr. Sleep. He's very, very, very talented. Very, very talented. All of them are. They all are. Natalie Portman's there. They have a very good cast, and they are like very known celebrities. So you think, oh, this isn't a very good film. This is just another Hollywood marketing baby, but it isn't. They chose very famous actors, but very fitting for their roles, and quite capable of doing what they had to do. I feel like there's the crying scenes with the kid. I always like, it's crazy. Like this film, the connection, like I said, first, let me finish the thought that I was talking about before. Um, I think we all wish that we had the best relationship with our parents and that we got along and that we were able to conversate and open up and we won't be judged and we will be heard and we would thrive and we would grow and the relationship will be stronger than ever after our discussions. But sometimes it isn't so. And I think this film really, I kept thinking like this mother could do something different, this one could do something different. We always have a million options, but at the end of the day, life doesn't go as planned. We have to do the best with what we have. I like to think that I'm doing the best I can with my family and with my friends. I always say this. I hear this a lot when people die. People lament and they say to themselves or to others, I wish I could have said this to them. I wish they were alive so I could say that. I don't. Not that I don't wish that people that have passed away or didn't pass away, but for me, and since I haven't had this experience, so I don't know for sure, I haven't had anybody in my close family pass away, but I do feel that if they did, I wouldn't have that sense of guilt that I didn't say things that I wanted to say, because I say what's in my heart and what's on my mind constantly. I tell people, hey, like, I don't agree with this, or I do this, or oh gosh, that's lovely, thank you for being here, thank you for existing. Like, I say what I feel, and I talk and talk and talk, as you can see. I talk and talk and talk forever and ever, and I go off topic and I come back. So I think I already said everything that I needed and wanted to say, and that's one of the best tips. If I know no one's asking, but if anyone's wondering what can I do, so like just in this life, in the sense of family connections and friends connections, my best advice to you is say as much as you feel safe saying, as much as you know you want to say. Don't keep it in you. If there's something that you're like, I'm gonna have terrible consequences, this is not gonna help me at all, then don't say it. But if it's something that you're just embarrassed, or you just feel like just go ahead and say it. We're all gonna die, so let's get it out there so that you don't have any regrets in the end. Another topic, the whole fame thing, it also got to me, because that's basically everything that I need to do. And I use the word need because I always say I want to be an actor, I want to be a writer. Like, I already consider myself a writer, first of all. Even though I have no published work, and I still do consider myself a writer. That's something that I just, there is no Alberto without writing. There's like, that's it. And for all my passion for art and everything, is just something that I need to do, whether or not I get paid for it. Like, I just have to do it. I think that's when you feel like, oh, okay, I'm in this career, but gosh, I wish I could do that, or then maybe that's not what you were born to do. I guess, in a way, destiny, if you believe in any of that, you're doing it because you were meant to do it. But at the same time, if it doesn't like make your heart pump faster and just you feel it, you live it, then it's probably not what was intended. You maybe derailed a little bit from the path that you were supposed to be on originally. And with all of this in mind, Xavier Zolan, this very famous filmmaker who's also a costume designer, who also, like, I don't know if I mentioned, he co-wrote this movie along with Jacob Tierney, and it's based on a story of his, and he also directed it. He's so talented. I heard of him years ago after watching the movie Martyrs. He's has a small role in that film. Then I also watched him in Boy Erased, and I was convinced. I was like, you know what, this guy has appeared in 2 very good movies. So, and I've obviously heard of other movies along the quality of the ones that I mentioned. So I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. I didn't get around to it, and now I purchased like 2 or 3 movies of his, and so far I have not been disappointed. I'm just earnestly envious, we could say. I am jealous that he has not only a lot of talent, because I know talented people. Talented people are everywhere. I think talent is something that it's not really up to you. Either you are or you're not. And there's a lot of people that hold that candlelight. But he has a platform. And I'm not saying that he was gifted, or I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just being really open-hearted right here. Like, he has a platform. He worked for this. He got it. He's someone whose work I respect and I admire. I look up to his work, and I think like I got very specific with this movie because I'm not doing it justice. Like, it really, really, really messed me up. I had nightmares. It happened last night. I'm not kidding. It was a very deep movie. I didn't like the way I felt at the end, but there were so many things to grasp onto. This is a high quality film. A definite, most definite 10 out of 10 rating. Because it's just amazing. It's amazing. Kate Harington did a very good job. Everyone did an amazing job. Like I said, I'm huge admirer of their work. I think that I read an interview. This is the only thing that I did read, but it wasn't really about this. It was about an interview where Xavier Zolan kind of, what would be the right word? He became upset that they were criticizing his work, or they were criticizing his life and merging it with his work. There was an article about that, and he just went off and off and off about, like, you don't know me. And I was like, is this really happening? Because this is basically something that happened to him, and it's something that, even though I'm not necessarily in the business, I do understand that. I understood it at a very young age because I was a fan of a very famous pop star, and I worked as an administrator for an unofficial fan page of hers. So, and I did that for years, and I did that I think I did a very good job. So I understand that side, that nature of the beast, we could say. Things are not what they seem. Don't get fooled. You don't, like, I wanted to use the word independent. You don't have to be alone, be by yourself, and only you, and because that doesn't work. We always need other people. But have thoughts of your own. If somebody says something, like me, always take what resonates with you. Leave the other things behind. Know them, keep them in your brain in case you might need them later, but you don't have to live your life based on what other people do. Everybody's human. Everybody. I don't understand the people that are famous on YouTube or famous in any other platform for that matter, and they think, like, oh, well, I have no time for this. I have no time for comments. I have no time to answer. I have no, like, dude, stop. Like, you take a shit just like everybody else. And while you might have a special gift, or while you might not, and you just be famous for being famous, I think that it speaks highly. And okay, this is, I don't want to go like for hours and hours, but let me just mention this because I think it pertains to what we're talking about. Jennifer Lawrence, very famous actress, has, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, she needs no introduction. She has been, or she appeared on the news. A story of hers appeared on the news where they said that they interviewed her, and she said that she won't talk to people, she won't sign autographs. Like, if she's out in public in her regular day life and people come to her, she'll like give them a look and stuff like that, as a way to protect herself. And I think she spoke about it too with that guy from the B movie. What's his name? That he comes out in that show, that very popular comedy show. What you know who I'm talking about? Seinfeld. I think his name is Seinfeld. Yeah. Anyway, she said that she won't do that, and I understand. I think I understand, because you wouldn't want strangers, because you are strangers, just coming up to you and hugging you and telling you how much they know you and they love you. You do have a right to your privacy, but you don't have to be messed up about it, for sure. I think I agree with her to a certain extent, but at the same time, I would personally, that's just me, I'm not saying that you have to do it because not everything works for everyone, but you could have a way of politely declining, of politely refusing to answer uncomfortable questions, because you really aren't a god. You really aren't. So like, I just wanted to mention a little bit about that. If you follow someone and they're giving a performance, of course, the louder the better. Get louder, yell at the top of your lungs, because it's a show and it's feeding off, and it's just this environment where people have fun and, you know, forget about their troubles and whatnot. But in real life, if you see a celebrity at the park or something, think about it. Think about it for a second. Think, that's a person just like me. Do I really want to go jump up and down and get crazy? And it's also very hypocritical of Jennifer Lawrence. I really love her work. I really like her attitude and the person that she comes out, or the person that I think she is based on the interviews that I watch from her. But I'm just going to mention this. I do think it's hypocritical when she meets celebrities that she admires and loves. She freaks out and acts like the biggest fangirl, but then you can't be too, like, double-sided, you know? Like, it isn't cool. It isn't cool for you to, just because you're very rich and famous now, that you could run up to people and you, I think, expect them to treat you with respect. So in a way, that's something that you should do to other people that see you the way that you see others. And yeah, just keep that in mind next time you see a celebrity or anyone that you like. I'm not telling you how to act. I would never, but it's really a very strong recommendation to really ground yourself and bring them not down like to the dirt, like you suck. None of that. I don't care if it's Kim Kardashian or if it's Kit Harington. You know, it doesn't matter how talented or how not talented. I never condone abusing, bringing people down, but do bring them down to the same level as you as a person, because we are all the same in worth. Some people do mean things, some people do nice things, but as a good measure, like, you know what I'm saying. I've been talking for a long time. It's because this movie really, really touches on a lot of different points. It's amazing. I recommend it. Like I said, 10 out of 10. That's it for this one.